Welcome to Big Monday from McDougald-McClendon Arena in Durham, North Carolina. It is a MEAC showdown between South Carolina State and North Carolina Central University. The Moton Maniacs are out for this, the final home game of the year for the Eagles, who have plenty on the line. And welcome, everybody. Doug Sherman along with former Virginia Cavalier Corey Alexander. So glad you could join us here tonight. As the regular season winds down, the pressure ramps up. For North Carolina Central, they sit in third place right now. But, Corey, they've still got a chance to move up. Every game is so important.
And North Carolina Central looking to get to that second place. And this is a team that has grown accustomed to representing the MEAC during the NCAA tournament. And Lavelle Moton's team, who he likes to refer to often as Jekyll and Hyde when it comes to their shooting, but still always going to be a very good defensive team under Coach Moton. And right now we'll see what they're capable of doing here on their home floor, where they've been so dominant over the last few years in MEAC play.
Well, Corey, as you alluded to, the Eagles are the two-time defending MEAC tournament champions. They're not going to be the regular season champs this year, but certainly will be dangerous when the league convenes next month at the Scope in Norfolk.
And Doug, if I remember correctly, they actually didn't win the regular season last year when they went to and win the MEAC championship. So I'm not sure that that's the most important thing to Coach Moton as it is playing your best basketball in March. And one way for the Eagles to do that is continue to get the basketball inside to Davis, as they did on the first possession, for a bucket.
Yeah, Rashawn Davis, preseason first-team All-Conference, a fifth-year senior from Chicago, averaging 15 points, 9 rebounds. He's a Kent State transfer who has had a marvelous 2-year run, anchoring the middle for North Carolina Central. There you see the starting five tonight. Foul on the drive. And it looks like we've got an injured player slow to get up. Azante Fields now to his feet.
And Jordan Perkins with a nice drive to the rim and gets to the free throw line. And I like the attack by Perkins early, because the South Carolina State was paying so much attention to Davis. And when you go over a scouting report and you know that a guy scores big, he's a preseason, player of the year candidate, and he shoots a great percentage from the field, he gets so much attention in the scouting report. And so Perkins doing a great job taking advantage of the attention that Davis gets and found the lane right to the basket.
Well, Perkins is second in the MEAC in assist-to-turnover ratio. Not averaging a lot of points, under 4 per game, but that's not what Coach Moton is looking for from this sophomore from Greensboro to do.
And now you see when, and I'll have to remember to continue to call them North Carolina Central, because, of course, growing up for me, they're just Central.
Right.
But, the Eagles picking up full court, and they want to put some pressure on, and it's really more of a token pressure to slow down South Carolina State and disrupt their rhythm on the offensive end of the floor, make them use up a lot of shot clock.
Ian Kynard off the mark, and the Bulldogs still looking for their first points of the night. Randy Miller misfires, and here comes Janai Rayner Powell. He's the point guard, senior from Virginia Beach. Contact created by Kynard, and that'll send him to the free throw line.
And Davis taking exception to that, because he felt as though he went up vertically. Lavelle Moton not liking that call as well along the baseline, and Davis did a very good job of keeping his arms up in the air. But one of the things you have to do if you're in that restricted area, you have to leave the floor. Not sure if he had actually left the floor before the offensive player actually left the ground into his shot. So I believe that was the reason why it was called, because he did a very good job of staying vertical.
Kynard at the line, junior from Clinton, South Carolina. Out of Gray Collegiate Academy, he's got a couple of foul shots.
Gray Collegiate representing my man Dion Bethea, who's playing in the AA state championship, or state tournament right now, looking for back-to-back championships. So I'm sure Dion's tuned in, watching this, checking out one of his loans.
from the free throw line. Left it a little bit short, did Larry McKnight Jr. And a foul in transition. And it goes against Jordan Perkins. Well, the head coach for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State, in his 6th year as head coach, Murray Garvin, a 1998 graduate of Eastern Kentucky University, and he wanted to make sure that we said hello to his sister Felicia back in his hometown of Pikeville, Kentucky, his other sister Diane in Springfield, Mass, watching tonight on ESPNU. And when I got to the arena tonight, Corey made sure to pull me over and said, you know what, you got to make sure you say hello to my wife Tangi back home as well. I can't forget her and my daughter down at Florida State. So hello to everybody. A rare opportunity for the Bulldogs to get on national television. Traveling violation.
That was a smart call by Coach Gavin, because you say hello to everybody and not the wife. Not going to be a happy home when he gets there.
45-year-old native of Pikeville, Kentucky, understands what it's like to be a good or bad husband. He's a good husband right now. We've all been there, Murray.
See, again, the emphasis on getting the basketball inside to Davis. But South Carolina State going to double team, not allow him to operate one-on-one because they know how much of a handful he can be on the block. Taking 2 players to get the basketball out of his hands, which is going to force the Eagles to make some threes. But right now, South Carolina State getting off shooting the basketball well from beyond the arc.
Yeah, former Maine Black Bear LeVar Harewood knocks down the triple. 5-3 South Carolina State. Bulldogs come in with a record of 5-8 in conference play. They've won 3 of their last 5. Trying to build momentum for the upcoming MEAC tournament. Driving dish to the corner. Randy Miller Jr. with the open look. Offensive rebound and a foul that'll send Zachary Douglas to the foul line.
Great job by Douglas recognizing where the basketball was coming off. Randy Miller Jr., a big-time shooter, had a good look out of the corner, unable to finish it. But give Douglas a lot of credit for pursuing that basketball. And when you look at this matchup, both teams play with pretty good size on the interior. But you see Douglas may have an advantage with his athletic ability, being able to track down offensive rebounds and making those plays around the basket.
Julian Walters, one of the other seniors into the game, replacing Jordan Perkins. And the seniors were recognized. They had their day this past Saturday, even though tonight is the final home game of the year. But that's been the habit to help enable family members and friends to travel in on a weekend as opposed to trying to get here on a Monday night. His very good and well-accomplished senior class that Lavelle Moten is going to have to replace next year. They've been to the last 2 NCAA tournaments.
And although Norfolk State is at the top of the MEAC right now, when you talk about that experience that the Eagles have, you have to say that even if they're not the favorites, they've got to be one of the teams you consider coming out of Norfolk as representing the MEAC going into the championship NCAA tournament.
Well, if not for a lost weekend early this month in Florida, this NC Central team would be right there near the top.
Especially when it comes to your network. AT&T is America's best wireless network according to America's biggest test. Now with 5GE. More for your thing. That's our thing.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the magic of Walt Disney World Resort Hotels. Papa John's, large Philly cheesesteak pizza, just $12. And State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
And again, that was this past Saturday, Senior Day, here in Durham for the North Carolina Central senior class, which under Coach Moten, Corey, has had a record of 32-6 in this building, including a number of wins that helped them build to 3 of the last 5 MEAC tournament championships.
And we talked in the open about how this program has become accustomed to playing NCAA tournament games. Lavelle Moten, one of the young, bright coaches in America, does a great job here at North Carolina Central University. Much to the praise of many of the best coaches in the country.
Well, I mentioned going to break how they had a lost weekend in Florida. They got swept at Bethune-Cookman, and at Florida A&M. And in those 2 games combined, Corey, they made 2 3-point shots. There's a bucket buried by Julian Walters, and Coach Moten calls his team truly a Jekyll and Hyde shooting club.
And Walters, of course, one of the 3 starting point guards that Coach Moten has had this season, and that's really been one of the areas of concern. We talked about Perkins and how well he does as far as his assist-to-turnover ratio, but Coach Moten looking for that leadership from a point guard position right now and still searching to find out who is going to be the guy that helps this team get to a 3rd straight MEAC championship.
Imani Applewhite misfires. First time we've called the name of the 3rd leading scorer in the conference. At the other end, Davis lays it in.
And I can tell you right now, Walters has come in doing a great job early, and the defensive effort for Central has picked up with him coming into the game, forcing another turnover, and then the beautiful feed over the top to find Rashawn Davis, who, of course, whenever he gets it in his hands, normally he's going to turn into a bucket for the Eagles.
That's because he makes 66% of his shots.
I can't even imagine that.
He doesn't shoot enough then, right?
Oh, he definitely doesn't shoot enough. I mean, there's no way anyone should ever shoot that high of a percentage.
Now, statistically, he is a real handful. 23 career double-doubles. And again, the Eagles try to run their offense through him inside. There they do. Finding him on the beautiful feed from Zachary Douglas.
You know, and we watched him a year ago, Doug, and you see right now he's in a much better shape.
No doubt.
Physically than he was even a year ago. Does a great job finishing around the rim. But you can see that he's definitely transformed his body. And this is a young man who, in my opinion, is going to play for money. I don't know if it's the NBA or where it may be, but he's going to get paid to play basketball when his career here is done.
Sean Neal had it poked away. Shot clock down to 4. Going to have to force it up. And a foul on the rebound that's going to go against Douglas. I love the seal at the other end and the feed.
Great high-low basketball when you have your bigs working on the same page. And more importantly, you see Davis puts the hand up, but Douglas delivers the pass in the perfect spot for Davis to be the only receiver to catch and finish. And when you look at the numbers on Davis from the beginning of his career to the last 2 seasons here at North Carolina Central, he has done a tremendous job. But again, transforming his body to where he can play heavy minutes and have great production during that process.
Corey, he had a 4-game stretch earlier this year where he was a ridiculous 35 of 38 from the floor, 92% over a 4-game stretch.
Do you know the crazy shots that I would take if I were shooting that well from the field? I mean, I would be pulling up in half court.
I know you would.
I would be with either the Eagles' beak or I'm not sure what the back part of his head is on this court, but I'd be shooting from there if I was shooting that high of a percentage.
But, 38 shots in 4 games, it's not like he wasn't shooting.
Nowhere near enough.
All right. Miller from the baseline into the lane, no. The follow dunk by Davis rimmed out. Bulldogs with the basketball down by 6, trying to push the pace as they are wont to do. Alan Hatchett Jr., the freshman from Memphis. He gets it back at the foul line and connects.
And a great job by Davis to relocate after the double team and find the spot where he was capable of knocking down the shot to put 2 points on the board for the Bulldogs.
Both these teams come in playing well. Mentioned the Bulldogs have won 3 of their last 5 for head coach Murray Garvin. This is a program that just 3 years ago won 19 games, went 12-4 in conference play. And Coach Garvin was the coach of the year, trying to get back to that status.
And Coach Garvin told us earlier that of their losses, 5 to 6 of those losses are like one-possession games or games where they've lost by 1 point. As we see North Carolina Central coming out shooting the basketball very well from 3, which has really been an issue for them on the season. Where you talked about the Florida trip where they only made 2 combined 3-point field goals, but it's also a team that has 8 games with 10 or more 3-point field goals made. So it depends on which shooting team shows up each night for Coach Moten.
Walters left alone. He's got it.
Doug, I'm not sure if it's Jekyll or if it's Hyde. I don't know which one is the good and which one is the bad. But whichever one it is the good, That's the North Carolina Central shooting team we've seen thus far today. The knockdown from the corner as the Eagles are flying hot.
America's biggest test. Now with 5GE. More for your thing. That's our thing.
Walters a perfect 2 for 2 off the bench so far in the early going. Both of them three-pointers, and NC Central in that Jekyll and Hyde storyline we've been talking about, off to a 3 for 5 start collectively and enjoying a 10-point lead. Bulldogs try to answer coming out of the timeout. Jamari Etienne misfiring from the corner. Nice drive and dish, but a foul called, and that'll wave off the basket. Offensive foul against Randy Miller.
And I'm not sure if it had anything to do with the pass, but you can see the defender does a great job getting outside the restricted area. I thought for certain he was in the restricted area taking that charge, but great call by the officiating crew coming up with that one and recognizing exactly where his feet were on that play.
Neal splits the double team, has his shot rattle out. Again, here's Damani Applewhite. First 2 points for the junior from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Impressive play there by Applewhite, the offensive rebound, and then the presence of mind to finish on the opposite side of the basket, knowing the shot blocker was behind him, trying to deny that opportunity.
Well, as a senior at Westover High School in Fayetteville, Applewhite was 6'8", 165 pounds, no Division I offers except from South Carolina State. And he has blossomed into a star in this conference. And the hot shooting continues for the Eagles in the person of Reggie Gardner.
And Reggie Gardner, a young man that was actually a preseason second-team MEAC selection, getting off to a good start here.
Joining the party. When we come back, we will talk about the secret game and the role that man, John McClendon, a Hall of Famer, played in that very special Sunday morning. Naismith Hall of Famer John McClendon, a legendary head coach at what was then known as North Carolina College for Negroes, played a key role in what is known as the secret game. On the morning of Sunday, March 12, 1944, a Duke medical school team snuck across town here in Durham to play an illegal, racially integrated basketball game. And Corey Alexander, the upshot was the brand of basketball Coach McClendon and his players played had never been seen before by the folks from Duke, and the Eagles won that game 88-44.
And to put in perspective, the Duke medical school team was actually considered to be better than the actual Duke University basketball team because there's a number of former basketball players that have already played their college careers and actually were in the military and come back. And so they put this team together, the intramural squad. And because that squad have received so much recognition, it was a team that, of course, Coach McClendon wanted to play. And I love the fact that they actually obliged, but the most important part of it, one of the members of the Duke Medical School team, a young white man, actually wrote home to his family in Montana and told them that that game, in his opinion, changed the thought process of many of his teammates who were Southerners about the people who were here at the North Carolina Negro College, basically. And that was the most impressive part about it. And more importantly, they got to hang out afterwards, actually mix the teams up. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just about playing against each other. They actually played together, which was a great experience for all of them.
And for some of the players on both sides, they had never, or the folks here at Central, had never been on a floor or even met a white person, and vice versa. The folks coming over from Duke had never met. And the reason why it's called the secret game was because they did it on a Sunday morning when presumably everybody would be at church. They could truly sneak over here. Campuses are about 3 miles apart. And there were no spectators. The only people in the gym were the players, the coaches, a scorekeeper, and 2 officials. And that's it. No pictures, no documentation at all.
And one news writer who had to swear to secrecy and they would not write about the game. that was the one witness that it did happen. But you know who was here? Maybe the best nickname of all time on a basketball court. Boogie Woogie played for North Carolina. He played for the Eagles. And when you got a nickname like Boogie Woogie, you got to be able to play.
And you know what? John McClendon is known as the godfather of black college coaches. And I've had the pleasure, as NC Central gets another bucket in transition off the terrific feed from Walters. Layup by Douglas. Had the pleasure in previous games of working with John Thompson III, who told me the story that he and his father, the house that he grew up in, John Thompson Jr., of course, the former national championship coach at Georgetown, they have a statue of John McClendon in their home in the D.C. area.
Well, Coach McClendon will be happy with the way that Julian Walters has come in and directed the offense for the Eagles to perfection right now, assisting, scoring, and really giving Coach Moulton that point guard presence that he's been looking for all season long.
Corey, you talked about it. Perkins got the start again tonight. London has dealt with some injuries, and Walters is the third option, who is now, it looks like, become the first option for at least the foreseeable future tonight.
And all three of these young men have actually spent time as starters for Coach Moulton, and that's when you know that, you know, Coach is looking for something different. When you put three different players at your point guard position, that's saying something, because it's normally a position where coaches come in, they've identified the guy they want to be the leader of their team, and even give that person a little more leeway than they would anyone else, because they understand how important the point guard position is. So the fact that they've had a revolving door at that position, I'm sure, says a lot about the competition, but yet Walter's doing a great job here this evening of taking over.
There he is feeding the post again into Davis, very efficient as always.
But you see the level defensively as to what he brings to picking up full court and putting so much pressure.
He's going to call it travel. So wave off the basket by Applewhite.
And Applewhite looks even more confused than I am on that one. As you see, Applewhite goes to the rim, and I'm assuming they felt as though he actually landed before he got that shot off, which we couldn't see his feet in that replay, but maybe that was the case. It looked like a very strong finish from Applewhite.
Well, basket or no basket, you get a sense of what Applewhite can do. Preseason third team All MEAC. That ball knocked out of bounds. It'll go to the other way to South Carolina State. So now, Corey, the MEAC schedule, usually you've got a travel partner, so every weekend you hop on a bus, unless you're flying to Florida for that trip, and you spend 3 days in a particular region playing 2 games. And so for South Carolina State, when they made the trip up to play North Carolina A&T on Saturday in Greensboro, they put into the bus's video machine Black Magic. That's the ESPN film production released in 2008. The first 7 minutes are featuring that secret game, and then it goes on to document the wonderful history that we have in HBCU college basketball.
And of course, so many of the big names that have come from the HBCU ranks. Lavelle Moulton, one of those guys, of course, one of the best players to play in the MEAC. Sam Jones, we got to always talk about Sam Jones, the Boston Celtics legend, but so many more that have graced the hardwoods in MEAC basketball.
Yeah, how about some names like, well, from here in Durham, Harold Hunter, nicknamed Wildman. He was the first black man to sign a contract in the NBA. Never did get to play for the Washington Capitals. He and Earl Lloyd both signed out of HBCU schools. Earl Lloyd out of West Virginia State. And he's the one who actually integrated the NBA, Earl Lloyd, and then went on to win an NBA championship in 1955 with the old Syracuse Nationals. But Willis Reed, Earl the Pearl Monroe, Cleo Hill, Sonny Hill, John Chaney, who was a marvelous player at Bethune-Cookman back in the day, Pee Wee Kirkland, Bobby Dandridge, on and on and on.
Some big-time names. Pee Wee Kirkland, of course, one of the best that many people won't know about from a NBA perspective, but definitely a street legend.
In more ways than one.
In more ways than one. Okay. Right now, Applewhite is putting on a nice performance, showing off a number of different parts of his game. He possibly wanted to be one of those next guys to make the jump from HBCU to play in the NBA.
White came into this game just 29 shy of 1,000 points for his career. Could get it tonight. Timeout on the floor with 7:08 remaining in the first half. And North Carolina Central, well, Corey, they've been shooting the basketball well from the outside, but they're also getting out in transition. And Zachary Douglas up to the rim. Moments ago during the timeout here at McDougal-McClendon Arena, nothing but net. You knew it was good right off the fingertips.
You knew it was good, and of course the crowd knew it was good. The celebration just as important as making the shot.
Those are the Moton Maniacs having a little bit of fun. Number 3 Duke and number 20 Virginia Tech tip off our Super Tuesday doubleheader from Blacksburg at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then it's 19th ranked Wisconsin and Indiana from Assembly Hall. Both games are live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. And we did learn earlier today, Duke has announced that Zion Williamson will not play in that game against Virginia Tech, but they do say, Corey, that he is continuing to make progress and has come back from the knee injury.
Well, and hopefully he will get back to play, but, you know, when Coach K took the red shirt off of Joey Baker, it really did send up a flag as to whether or not we will see Zion Williamson again. So you hope to be able to see him, but to burn the red shirt on Joey Baker at that point, you know, maybe it was coincidence, I'm not sure, but what would be your reasoning otherwise, other than maybe preparing for Zion not coming back?
Or to let Jack White know and Marquise Bolden know that the way they had been playing is not acceptable. Either way, Corey, it was shocking to see Baker come in. Shocking.
It really was. And again, when you think about the fact that you've already played 25 games, you're this late into the season, to pull it off now and give Baker really only the opportunity to play in 5 regular season games and then the tournament.
Right.
You know, if it was to send a message, that's a strong message sent by Coach K.
Well, speaking of Zion Williamson and also his running mate R.J. Barrett, there's a look at our Wendy's Wooden Watch. Both are in the mix. You could make a case for either being the favorite, but as long as Zion Williamson is sidelined, that allows RJ, as we saw him do up at the Carrier Dome, continuing to put up big numbers. But, you know, can you think of another occasion, Corey, where somebody like Baker, and it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. Off the steal, we've got a layup here by Rainer Powell. But Coach K doesn't just do that without consulting A, the player, and B, the player's family, right?
Agreed. I'm sure that he had the conversation with Joey Baker and his family, and Joey Baker agreed that this was the route that you go. But my thought process behind it is, why do you do that? I mean, again, and I recognize that Jack White has struggled shooting the basketball, as Randy Miller has no struggle knocking down the 3 on this possession. You know, I know that Jack White has had his struggles, and again, Marquise Bolden, in my opinion, has been a difference maker for Duke this year with his ability on the defensive end of the floor. But Joey Baker, I believe, played 5 minutes for Syracuse. And I'm not sure if it's worth it for, you know, 5 games and, of course, the tournament. But if he's not going to be in the mix and in the action, I'm not really sure why you do that unless you know that you're not going to have Zion.
I agree. Off the miss by Rainer Powell. Here come the Eagles again. Terrific job getting back defensively and drawing the charge.
And again, I know we're in Durham. I don't want to be too Duke heavy. But when we talked about the Wooden Watch, that's one of the reasons why, in my opinion, Zion should come back. Because if he comes back, as we see the charge in a great play, stepping in and absorbing the contact, gaining possession for the Bulldogs. But if Zion does not come back, that's R.J. Barrett's trophy. Right now, I believe Zion is the front runner for National Player of the Year. But if he doesn't return, he doesn't get that trophy, nor the Naismith Trophy. And I think all of those awards go to R.J. Barrett, his roommate.
Yep.
And it's amazing that, you know, both those guys, the top 2 candidates and the best 2 players in the country, in my opinion, happen to live in the same dorm room at Duke.
Only about 3 miles from where we sit here, North Carolina Central University. Nice looking pull-up Off the bounce by Jamari Etienne, who is more of a spot-up shooter, playing through a groin injury in recent days. Looked pretty good there.
But the Bulldogs have done a good job getting back into this game and starting to find some rhythm on the offensive end of the floor. Now it's about getting stops, which they've been able to do, defending the rim, coming up with a number of offensive fouls. As Gardner takes an ill-advised shot there, but Davis coming up with the rebound.
And an offensive foul against Rashawn Davis.
And that's actually going to be Davis's. That's going to be his second foul. But I know that he had picked up one earlier, was making sure that he wasn't in real difficulty. But with that second one, I'm sure he'll sit the remaining 4:37 of this half. And Doug, I can say that with Walters on the bench, South Carolina State has really had their way against the Eagles in the half-court defense. Coach Moten might want to give Walters another opportunity to get back out on the floor. They just seem to play better with him at the point guard position.
Here's Walters, the East Tennessee State transfer. And actually played last year in the SWAC at Alabama A&M. And he has been a valuable piece at times for Coach Moten coming off the bench. The bench play has been a big difference so far in this one. 14-2 advantage for the Eagles over the Bulldogs off of that man's bench.
But that's the culture of North Carolina Central basketball, and that's what LaVelle Moten preaches to his team. And there's nothing, more so than basically every year, every practice, you show up, you compete, and if you don't, I'm not going to hold a spot for you. As we said, another three-pointer. That's been the saving grace for the Eagles in this game thus far. 6th on the night so far. We've talked about the fact that they're 6-1 in games where they made 10 or more three-pointers and seem to be headed in that direction.
Timeout on the floor. Coach Moten's club up 14 in this final game at home on the season. The Eagles up 14 over the Bulldogs here in Durham, North Carolina. Doug Sherman, Corey Alexander, and watch under the basket. Does number 3 in gray hook and hold?
Well, we got a great teaching moment. Ramey Stiens and LaVelle Moten both demonstrating the hook and hold to Roderick Taylor Jr. and having a great conversation between the two. And I love seeing that because there was no call. But yet, of course, with the hook and hold has been all season long. And I love the fact that Coach Moten and Ramey Stiens both getting involved in that to teach Taylor. And more importantly, Taylor stays on the floor, does not get called for a hook and hold, but also getting a warning to make sure that is not part of what's going on. A great piece of officiating by Ramey Stiens.
Well, Corey, it's been 3.5 months since the season began, and that was one of the big initiatives that we have seen called repeatedly throughout the year. How do you think the officials across the country have done adjudicating the hook and hold and being consistent with it?
I can tell you they've done a much better job of adjudicating it, to your word, than I have calling it, because I tell you right now, I'm probably a 25% correct when I see it. The ones that I've said I thought were hook and holds and those that I haven't. So, of course, they know the rules much better than I do. I follow the guys wearing black and white on the court, especially considering they do a job that I couldn't, shouldn't, and wouldn't do.
And it's a rule we're seeing because of player safety.
Absolutely. And again, it's a point of emphasis because it's not a rule change year in college basketball. That actually happens this summer. But it's something that, of course, they were able to institute and make sure they could just call it a flagrant 1 foul if the intent is to fool the referee or deceive the referee into calling a foul against the opponent.
Zante Fields misses on the putback. He gets it back. And will head to the free throw line. Will the junior from Denmark, South Carolina.
And Fields and Applewhite all over the offensive glass on that possession, taking advantage of Rashawn Davis being on the bench with those 2 fouls.
And Fields brings a physicality to the team, 6'7", 220, out of Denmark Olar High School. Averaging over 8 points, nearly 5 rebounds per game. Thursday, it's another college hoop doubleheader when number 9 Michigan squares off against Nebraska at 7 Eastern. Then it's a Pac-12 rivalry matchup between USC and UCLA. Both are also streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. You know what? The man at the line, Fields, was more focused on football until he got to the 10th grade. He grew several inches, and all of a sudden he said, you know, forget football. I'm more of a hooper now.
I can appreciate that. However, there are a lot of 6'7" defensive ends making a bunch of money playing football coming off that edge right now. It's one of the most dominant positions in the NFL as Randy Miller continues to show off his beautiful stroke from the outside.
8 for 13 now is NC Central from distance. Big rebound by Miller. Here come the Eagles again, on top by 16. Drive and dish. And a chance for 3. You know what? The Eagles have been sharing the basketball very well also tonight, Corey.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Doug. I was about to say the exact same thing. A great job by the Eagles sharing the basketball, interior passing, and a great job by Taylor picking up the bounce pass. Often difficult for bigs to be able to handle bounce passes in tight quarters like that, but Taylor does a great job corralling that basketball and finishing through the contact and finishing off with the opportunity for the and one who's unable to finish it.
Corey, 15 made field goals for the Eagles, 12 assists.
And you can't ask for a better percentage than that. And I can tell you right now, Dougie, just in case you were wondering. Should I let you do it?
No.
You sure?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's 80%.
You're the UVA grad.
I'll take that.
Rayshawn Neal, who has not shot the basketball well this year, just his 3rd make on the season for the sophomore from Greenville, South Carolina. Yeah, you don't get to walk around the lawn without having the ability to do quick math in your head.
Yeah, I wasn't really one of those guys that they invited to be on the lawn.
So you weren't the Malcolm Brogdon of your time?
I was not the Malcolm Brogdon.
All right.
Lavelle Moulton gets a warning for being out of the coach's box by Ramey Steins. And see, and Lavelle's thinking to herself, wait a minute, we were just over here having a good time talking about the hook and hold, and all of a sudden now I get a warning. But Lavelle will take the warning in comparison to a technical foul anytime, but the next one will be a technical foul. So he's got to make sure he stays spaced on the court properly.
A lot of contact in the lane. Fight for the ball comes to Fields.
You know, you talked about where Applewhite wasn't really recruited because he was 6'8", 165 pounds. And when you told me that earlier, and I looked and I said, no way he's 6'8". And he walked past me, he's every bit of 6'8". And you see when a shot goes up, he is all over the rim. Big-time athlete. Very impressive young man with some skill, playing very well for the South Carolina State Bulldogs. And right now, the Bulldogs trying to stay within striking distance, especially with Davis on the bench and 2 fouls. They're starting to flex their muscle in the paint.
Well, Lavelle Moulton is a 44-year-old Boston native whose family actually moved to nearby Raleigh, North Carolina. He was a star at Enloe High School. And you know what? He wrote an autobiography 5 years ago. He was still in his 30s, but he has lived so much life, Corey, that he had enough stories to write an autobiography. And I'm telling you, at the rate that he lives life, he can have 2 or 3 autobiographies going forward.
Absolutely. And of course, he talked about his faith. And this is I like to call him a young man because, of course, he's younger than me. And, you know, but it's so impressive as a person. I mean, his basketball coaching speaks for itself, but so impressive as a person. Always a pleasure for me to get an opportunity to talk to him and get to spend time with him and really appreciate what he does for these young men who come to play for him. It's more than about basketball, and that's one of the areas where he loves to preach that to anyone who will listen. And I'm not a big-time reader, so I most likely won't read the autobiography, but I will buy it just to support my guy.
Well, I'll tell you what, I told you and Coach this story before the game. I was telling my wife on the phone yesterday, just as a point, hey, I was reading the excerpts of this autobiography called The Worst Times Are the Best Times. My wife says, what was that name again? I told her, and then I just kept talking as I always do. By the time I came up for air, she said it'll be here on Tuesday. She had ordered it through Amazon, so I've got that waiting for me when I get home to read his autobiography.
Coach Moulton was very thankful that you laced his pockets a little bit. That's how he's buying all those nice jackets I see now, making that good money off his book.
Final possession for North Carolina Central. Miller gets instructions from Coach Moulton, a former Division II All-American player here. Down to 2 seconds off the turnover. Can the Bulldogs get up the shot? An impressive first half for North Carolina Central. Looking for their 10th conference win of the year and still to keep hope alive of finishing as high as second in the regular season. Halftime here in Durham, North Carolina. Led by the inside force of Rashawn Davis and tremendous outside shooting. The Eagles up by 13. Back here at North Carolina Central University, where here at halftime, they've just honored 3 Eagle greats, including Jeremy Ingram and Poobie Chapman, who starred on North Carolina Central's first Division I NCAA tournament team back in 2014, and also C.J. Wilkerson, a standout for the 2011 Division I transition team, as the program moved up from D2 to D1. Welcome back, everybody. Doug Sherman along with Corey Alexander. So glad you could be here at halftime. And I don't know if they're calling it Sneakergate, but certainly the folks here in Durham, North Carolina, and all around the college basketball world have been talking a lot about the sneaker that blew up on Zion Williamson. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm a Nike guy, so I got to make sure I say that first, and I've got a lot of heat on this because basically, look, he should not be wearing those shoes. That shoe, a PG-13, is not made for someone the size of Zion Williamson. LeBron James, who is very similar in size, has a shoe specifically made for players the size of Zion. My analogy is this. You have sports cars, you have SUVs. Mm-hmm. We saw what happens if you put a sports car tire on an SUV. Now, granted, Lamborghini makes SUVs. Zion is a great SUV, but again, should not be wearing those shoes. They're not built for him. That's part of the reason why the shoe exploded. And I'm sure, hopefully we get Zion Williamson back on the court, and when he is, he will not be wearing a shoe that does not support the power and the torque that he puts on it.
All right, so you diagnosed what was wrong. Whose fault was it?
I will honestly say if there's anyone's fault, it's probably the fault of Zion and the equipment staff at Duke, because it's a shoe that he wanted to wear. Because I'm very certain that he has been told that, hey, this shoe's not made for you, but it looks good. And that's often why teenagers, which he is, often do the things they do because they like the look of it. I'm sure, again, he will be recommended a different pair of shoes to wear the next time he plays basketball.
Well, again, the news that came out earlier this afternoon, Zion will not play tomorrow night in the Duke Virginia Tech game, but they're still holding out hope. They say he continues to get healthier with that sprained knee. We'll take a break. Crosstown here at North Carolina Central. The Eagles with a 41-28 lead over the Bulldogs. More of our halftime report right after this.
For those days when the weather ignores your plans, you can be protected from higher fares. Introducing a rewards program made to keep modern life moving.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Old Spice. Men have skin too, you know. And Samuel Adams, brewed inefficiently since 1984. Savor the flavor responsibly.
Some of the sights you see only in the MEAC. Welcome back to Big Monday from McDougall's McClendon Arena here at North Carolina Central University with Corey Alexander. I'm Doug Sherman. North Carolina Central, they've been shooting the lights out, but Corey, they've been playing inside out to set up that outside game.
Well, they got it started with Rashawn Davis, of course, shooting 4 for 5 from the field. And on the other end of the floor, the other stars showed up. Damani Applewhite doing a great job offensive rebounding and put back. And the 2 stars showed up early, but it became about the 3-point shooting for the Eagles with 3 separate players with multiple three-point field goals. Randy Miller knocking down 2, as well as Reggie Gardner and Larry McKnight. So 8 for 13 from the Eagles from beyond the arc has been the story of this game thus far, but I'm sure we will see the ball go back into the hands of Davis early and often here to start the second half, now that he's back on the court after picking up 2 fouls in the first half.
As you mentioned, Corey, McKnight, Miller, Gardner, and Walters each have made 2 3-point shots for the Eagles. Going right inside, going to work are the Bulldogs. That is 7 points now for Azante Fields. You know, when these two teams met at South Carolina State last year, Corey, the Eagles allowed a season-high 102 points. 102. They gave up in the first half, not nearly as many tonight. Certainly not on a pace to get anywhere near 100 with only 28 given out.
I can tell you right now, they continue to shoot the basketball this way as Randy Miller knocks down another 3 to start the second half. They may put up 102.
One thing that Coach Garvin told us earlier today about the man who just shot that ball, Janai Rayner-Powell, he wishes he would look for his shot more. He is that point guard who loves setting up his teammates, but he would like, the coach would like for his veteran point guard to look for his own more frequently.
Well, a great offensive set for the Eagles coming out of the timeout. You see the screen for Davis underneath, and with so much attention being paid to him, the Bulldogs forgot all about Randy Miller Jr., who's already made 2 3-pointers, knocks down his third one on the first possession offensively for the Eagles in the second half.
Well short by LeVar Harewood. And Randy Miller comes into this game, Corey, for the Eagles off a 24-point performance Saturday in the win over Savannah State. He's among the league leaders both in points per game and 3-point shooting. Another one of the weapons for LaVelle Moton.
And amazing to see, as we talked about, Reggie Gardner. Reggie Gardner had a very good freshman season. And, of course, for a team that won the MEAC tournament championship and represented the MEAC in the NCAA tournament. And Gardner coming in, you would have expected to be the starting shooting guard for the Eagles, a second-team all-preseason all-MEAC member. And then you see Randy Miller come in, who does the job defensively and, more importantly, according to Coach Moton, competes every day. And because of that, Miller has taken over that starting role and averaging over 13 points per game, playing very good basketball, multiple 20-point games on the season. Actually was MEAC Player of the week of February the 19th, and continues to play better and better basketball as the season goes along.
And you know what, Corey? You would think Reggie Gardner would understand, as well as anybody, about competition, because he came out of DeMatha. You know, he was teammates with Markelle Fultz, good friends. They had in the starting lineup 4 different Division I players, and Reggie came off the bench on that team.
Well, and he came off the bench on that team because Mike Jones, the great coach at DeMatha, subscribes to the exact same theory that we're talking about with LaVelle Moton. You have to compete every day to be able to participate in what they're doing when you're talking about great programs. And I can't say that Reggie Gardner hasn't competed in the way that he should, because I'm not there for practice, but I know that Randy Miller has, because he's the guy getting the majority of the minutes at the shooting guard position.
As we mentioned, Gardner was second-team All-MEAC coming in after starting all 35 games as a true freshman, but he was beaten out in the preseason by Randy Miller. Coach Moton has shown over and over again he's going to play who he wants to play and who he feels has most deserved it. Now, Reggie Gardner is still a very important piece to this team, whether he's getting 20 minutes as a starter or 20 minutes off the bench. But it is a different role.
Absolutely, and those two guys can be on the court together, and you've got a dynamic shooting team. But the problem there is then you have to sit down Larry McKnight, who has knocked down a couple threes in this game and is extremely aggressive on both ends of the floor. So he's not a guy that Coach Moton wants to take off the floor, but it's a good problem to have if you're LaVelle Moton, because you've got multiple players you know that can help you win.
And they go to Davis, and he traveled. And you don't want to penalize Larry McKnight. You know, nobody worked harder in the offseason than he did, dropping 37 pounds and being in the best shape of his life right now.
And we watched him a year ago, Doug, and he came off the bench last year, but he was extremely aggressive on both ends of the floor. Loved the energy and the effort that he played with. And again, you talked about the 37 pounds, and he plays that way and even better, but now more minutes as a starter because he's gotten his body in such better condition to be able to play heavier minutes.
Well, he altered his diet, cut out the late night snacks, nothing after 11 o'clock, and not surprisingly, his stamina is up and his ability to play big minutes has been up. 3-point bucket buried by Kynard, the junior out of Clinton, South Carolina. His coach calls a Swiss Army knife.
Well, you see with his size and ability to shoot the ball from beyond the arc.
He defends 4 positions at the other end. A vocal leader for this Bulldogs team.
And right now you would look at it, he's from the lineup that you see playing the small forward position as Fields is taking on the battle of going down and guarding Davis. And you see Kynard going out and guarding McKnight. So with his size, and you talked about that versatility, the ability to be able to guard smaller players, and it allows Coach Garvin to play a much bigger lineup against the Eagles.
Oh yeah, they've got good size. 6'8", 6'8", 6'7". Perkins gives to Miller, and he nails the 3.
And the second time, just from the opposite side, but that same action the Eagles ran previously, as we see Applewhite knocking down the short corner jumper. And I know Davis gets a lot of respect on that block, but the way Randy Miller's shooting the basketball, you got to make sure you stay in contact with him. He's gotten way too many open looks here in the second half if you're the Bulldogs and you're planning on trying to win this game.
Douglas lost it. And the whistle comes. Timeout on the floor. NC Central's lead stands at 11.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Snickers. You're off your game when you're hungry. Eat a Snickers. And the magic of Walt Disney World Resort Hotels.
I guess I am pretty smart.
Don't let that go to your head, Gary. What's in your wallet?
Well, a year ago we were here when North Carolina Central University retired the jersey of that man, now head coach Lavelle Moton. He is the 3rd all-time leading scorer in program history, a former All-American when the school was at the Division II level. But his prowess means more retired jerseys. His high school, Enloe High School in nearby Raleigh, North Carolina. He's now the 3rd man with his number retired, along with Nate McMillan and P.J. Tucker. That ceremony was just a few days ago, and it means so much to him to remember what he learned during his experience at Enloe.
And Doug, you know, Lavelle Moton is royalty in the state of North Carolina. This guy is, of course, tied in with everyone that you can imagine. He's cousins with Donald Williams, of course, was the 1993 Final Four most outstanding player. Great friends with, you know, my guy Rasheed Wallace, who is from Philly but has made North Carolina his home.
Sheed was here one time last year.
Sheed actually showed up last year for Lavelle's retirement jersey. And, of course, you know, so many of the college greats have spoken out on Lavelle Moton and to what he means to college basketball and where he is, talking from Coach K to Roy Williams to John Calipari. And, of course, one special coach, Mike Tomlin, who Lavelle is a big Steelers fan.
Huge.
So, of course, built a relationship with Coach Tomlin, and Coach Tomlin with a tremendous amount of respect for Lavelle and what he does here with the Eagles.
Every summer, Coach Moton goes to Pennsylvania and participates in Steelers training camp. He is allowed to sit in on every coaching meeting.
Okay, so you said participate. I thought you were talking about he was putting helmet and pads on.
No. But as a coach, and you know what? It's not so much about the football X's and O's. Just like when he is invited over to Duke by Coach K and when he's invited to Chapel Hill by Coach Williams, he is allowed to see how other people coach and impact the lives of their players. So he has taken all of that and what he learned from his mentor at Enloe High School, Frank Williams, and put together a marvelous 10-year run as head coach at his alma mater, where he has taken the Eagles to each of the last 2 NCAA tournaments.
Well, I tell you what he's also done. He and Roy Williams have done a great job with their sport coach. Because I'm going to tell you, that one he's got on today, only a word that you can use around here, sharp. See what I'm saying? You can't say sharp. It's sharp. It's
right.
Different. It's sharp. That jacket is sharp.
All right. I think I'll leave that to you to say it appropriately. But I got you. Nice looking shovel pass there from McKnight for the easy bucket.
And right now the Eagles with a 13-point lead, but give the Bulldogs credit. They're not going away in this game. We've talked about their ability to make games tight at the end. They haven't been able to win all those games, but Coach Garvin has said that his team is going to be in it. The Eagles making it tough right now with their ability to shoot the basketball for the Bulldogs to stay in it. 10 3-pointers on the evening thus far for North Carolina Central. When they shoot the basketball this way, they are difficult to beat.
Nearly 7 minutes in here in the second half, and what's an important game, especially for the Eagles, as they try to overcome the odds and finish as high as second place to get the number 2 seed in the upcoming MEAC tournament.
And of course, when you have the high percentage finishes like you get from Rashawn Davis off a beautiful feed from McKnight, getting inside the paint and getting the big fella the basketball in his hands where he knows how to do damage. Always good offense for North Carolina Central.
Rayshawn Neal at the point for the Bulldogs of South Carolina State, a program that has produced a couple of NBA players over the years. Tom Boswell, perhaps the most notable, 1975 first-round pick of the Celtics, who won an NBA championship that year as a rookie. And more recently, how about undrafted 6'6" forward Travis Williams, who spent a couple of years with the Charlotte Hornets in the late 90s. South Carolina State also produced a gentleman by the name of Frank Cord, who back in 1967 was a draft pick of the 76ers, but never played in the NBA. He went on to have a long, fruitful career in the ABA. Miller shows he can go inside the three-point line, giving 14 points on the night.
Yeah, Randy Miller from Mount St. Joe's out of Baltimore, and has always been a guy that can score the basketball extremely well. He's not just a three-point shooter. As you see, the ability to score off the bounce, as well as make plays for his teammates. He's found a home here at North Carolina Central, playing very good basketball for Lavelle Moulton.
David Bottenberg makes the score 52-39, the junior from Rockville, Maryland, whose coach wanted us to point out for sure is a biology major. David Bottenberg is a straight A 4.0 student who plans to be a doctor, and he's so far along in that his coach and his teammates call him Dr. Bottenberg for his academics, not for what he does on the court.
That's impressive, though, when your teammates look at you, and of course you're the guy that they're coming to ask for help with your homework. I tell you right now, Walters is playing great basketball. And what we saw in the first half from the Eagles, we saw Perkins start the game. Walters came through in the middle when they were able to build the lead, and then Rashawn London finished the half. So Coach Moulton playing all three of his point guards, all three getting minutes. But right now, and they've all played well, but I've got to say, Julian Walters has really stepped his game up here tonight. And of course, whenever you're able to knock down the three, it looks so much better. Hold your follow through, young fella. Let them know that three goes to me.
Get 0 down special financing on bridal purchases with the K Jewelers credit card.
Here along Tobacco Road, sartorial splendor means a lot, both at North Carolina Central University and in Chapel Hill, where, as we were talking a few minutes ago, Roy Williams has a really strong jacket game, and so Corey Alexander, I would say he on the left looks sharp, and Coach Moulton on the right looks
sharp. Now, there are different levels of sharp, too, now.
Okay.
There's casket sharp. I mean, that's as clean as you get.
All right.
Casket sharp is as clean as you get. Again, I don't like to use the adjective because I don't want to think about having to lay in a casket. But, again, that is as clean as you get.
Okay. I like it. I always learn something new with you.
I try to give you a little bit of the lingo every time we get an opportunity to come to one of these great HBCUs because, of course, you Dougie Fresh. They got to know that you know what you're talking about around here.
Well, you know, Coach Moten loves his old school. He grew up in in the projects in Boston with the guys who went on to fame with New Edition. So he knows old school music. Is jelly still a thing? It's faded?
Faded a bit.
Okay.
Faded a bit. Not as prevalent because all you got to do is miss one jelly and you're sitting down for a while. And I think a number of guys have found that out. And also, when you get to this level, oftentimes you try to jelly and one of those athletes blasts it off the glass. Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Well, that setup looked nice. We're going to have a blocking foul, though, so wave off the basket. No dunk for Rashawn Davis. Non-shooting foul. It goes against Fields.
Fields stepping in, trying to take the charge on Reggie Gardner, attacking the rim. And although Fields picks up the foul, he does take away a short 2 points from the Eagles, but he exits the game as Applewhite returns.
So at the point, Julian Walters, the redshirt senior from Madison, Wisconsin, who has matched his career high with 3 made threes in a game here tonight. Trying to pick up the assist. Jabri Blunt can't get the roll. Neal, runner off the window, and it bangs home.
This is about the time where South Carolina State's going to have to try to find a way to get some stops to make a run and get back into this game, get it into single digits, and then see if they have enough to try to catch up with the Eagles as we get close to the end. The Bulldogs coming off of a 1-point loss at North Carolina A&T on Saturday. You know, and Coach Garvin talked to us about the fact that this is a team that competes. They're in games. They don't win them all, of course, but they normally have a chance to win, normally within one possession or less. I'm sorry, one possession or 5 points. And 8 of their last 9 games have been decided by 5 points or less. So this is a team that's been very competitive. So what North Carolina Central is doing right now with this 14-point lead, this is not something that's common with the Bulldogs. They're used to being right there nip and tuck until the end.
Team in its traveling blue uniforms with the garnet trim, white lettering. NC Central in its home grays with the maroon lettering in black trim.
That's a second strong take from Neal. Was able to score on the first one, and now at the free throw line for the opportunity to pick up 2 more points to try to dig into this lead.
The former Garinger High School star in Charlotte misfires on the first. Well, our NBA Wednesday doubleheader starts in Boston with a great point guard matchup between Kyrie and the Celtics and Portland's Damian Lillard. And it's off to LA for LeBron and the Lakers trying to beat the Pelicans. Apparently that's a tough thing to do. Coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 7 o'clock on ESPN and the ESPN app.
And 2 missed free throws by Neal. The Bulldogs almost coming up with the offensive rebounds, but a missed opportunity on that possession. Ends up being an empty opportunity after another great drive by Neal, but just unable to finish at the free throw line.
Douglas set the screen. Gardner had the ball knocked away. It comes for the open 3 by Blunt. Douglas pulls it back out. Fresh shot clock for the Eagles. Blunt, good ball fake, strong drive, and he'll have a chance for three.
You know, one of the things I always love about watching the Eagles play, LaVelle Moulton has numerous guys that he can bring off the bench to make an impact. And more importantly, they play very aggressively and with confidence when they get their opportunities. You don't see guys coming in and complaining about their minutes or whatever it may be. They come in, play their part, play to their role and to their strengths while they're on the court, and then they congratulate their brothers when they're not on the court and do a great job supporting from the bench.
Well, we haven't seen much from Jabri Blunt tonight, but 2 games ago at Howard, he went for 31. Last game on Saturday, 16 points, 9 rebounds. But in that game, Corey, Jabri Blunt turned the ball over 8 times. So I have a feeling that may have something to do with why he hasn't played bigger minutes tonight.
But you see, when he comes in, he's aggressive. We've seen him shoot the three. We've seen him attack the basket, and he does a great job. But this is also one of the guys that's a reserve for this team. He's not a starter. But when you've got someone coming off the bench that can go get you 31, that's a great luxury to have for a coach.
The only senior on the Bulldogs roster, Rainer Powell, short from the corner. Julian Walters feeling it, way off the mark that time though, out of bounds, back to South Carolina State.
Yeah, he's feeling it on that one. I'm not sure that was the best shot for his team. And I know it wasn't the shot that Coach Moulton wanted for him, because I saw Coach Moulton shaking his head looking at Walters. But, you know, more importantly, the fact that there's no one at the table to get Walters out of the game. Coach Moulton gives him the opportunity. Hey, you made a mistake. It's fine. We'll live on. Now go make it up on the defensive end of the floor.
You know, using the 3 different point guards as the shot is made by Harewood, is it tough for the teammates to adjust in that circumstance, Corey?
No, I don't believe so, and only because you've got a veteran group out there playing who recognizes what the coach wants for them to be able to do. And so it's not difficult because they know the sets that they're supposed to run. They know the roles that they're supposed to play and where they're supposed to get the basketball and take their shots. So a point guard only enhances that ability to run the team, but this is a group that knows what they're supposed to be doing.
Damani Applewhite throws it down. Timeout, Bulldogs.
I was kind of waiting to see that. I've been loving his athleticism the entire game and seeing them get out in transition for the finish. I wanted to see if he was able to throw it down. And, of course, Applewhite does oblige. The beautiful finish hanging around just in case you didn't know who it was.
Now this is Daddy's favorite song.
Alexa, play Dad's playlist.
Ooh la la. Ooh la 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 la.
Live on. Now go make it up on the defensive end of the floor.
You know, using the 3 different point guards as the shot is made by Harewood, is it tough for the teammates to adjust in that circumstance, Corey?
No, I don't believe so, and only because you've got a veteran group out there playing who recognizes what the coach wants for them to be able to do. And so it's not difficult because they know the sets that they're supposed to run. They know the roles that they're supposed to play and where they're supposed to get the basketball and take their shots. So a point guard only enhances that ability to run the team, but this is a group that knows what they're supposed to be doing.
Damani Applewhite throws it down. Timeout, Bulldogs.
I was kind of waiting to see that. I've been loving his athleticism the entire game and seeing them get out in transition for the finish. I wanted to see if he was able to throw it down. And, of course, Applewhite does oblige. The beautiful finish hanging around just in case you didn't know who it was.
Just around the corner, can't wait for Champ Week to start. And those of us fortunate enough to work for ESPN just received our assignments for Champ Week coming up as we see some of the bracketology with Joe Lunardi. Norfolk State, he says, would be part of the first 4. If they wind up representing the MEAC, they would head to Dayton, Ohio. But Corey, where are you going to be for Champ Week?
Well, I have an interesting Champ Week. I will actually be at the ASUN Championship on the Sunday to begin Champ Week. And then, of course, throughout the week, we'll be at the ACC tournament. But Saturday, March 16th, we'll be making the trip early morning to Norfolk, to the Scope, to call the MEAC Championship. So looking forward to that. Happy to be a part of the MEAC family this year and getting a part to see who determines who gets to represent the MEAC in the NCAA tournament. Always a great celebration to see a team play their way into the dance.
Davis now. Will it be Norfolk State? Will it be North Carolina A&T? Will it be this North Carolina Central team that's played well tonight, led by as many as 18, and they have really done a nice job of keeping the Bulldogs at arm's length?
But what I will say is for the last 5 years, it's only been 2 teams representing the MEAC, and that would be the North Carolina Central Eagles and the Hampton Pirates, who are no longer a part of the MEAC, now in the Big South. So if I had to go out on a limb right now and guess, I'm going with experience. I'm going with the Eagles. But it's going to be interesting to see if anyone can knock them off, regardless of the regular season champs or not. The tournament experience means something.
One of the signature moments of Champ Week a year ago happened in the America East Conference Final, where UMBC stunned Vermont on the buzzer beater. Then 5 days later, of course, as a 16 seed,
I don't want to talk about that.
went and beat some team that wears orange from Charlottesville. I'm happy to have.
I have my hands over my earphones, so I can't hear you say that. But unfortunately, they're outside the earphones, so you're all in my ear with that.
Well, I think it's highly unlikely that the winner of the America East this year would get matched up again with UVA. But I'll be back at the America East Finals again this year. And then little OVC, a chance to see John Morant and the Murray State Racers. Champ Week just around the corner as we head to break here in Durham, North Carolina. The Eagles lead the Bulldogs by 14 points in this MEAC Monday.
You can get extra points while you get back on your game. Introducing a rewards program made to keep modern life moving.
60-46, North Carolina Central with the lead late here in Durham, North Carolina. Number 3 Duke and number 20 Virginia Tech tip off our Super Tuesday doubleheader tomorrow from Blacksburg, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then it's number 19 Wisconsin facing the Indiana Hoosiers from Assembly Hall. Both games are live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Big 10, ACC, Big 12, or SEC. A, which is the best conference
ACC.
this year, and B, which will have the most teams get into the NCAA tournament.
ACC is the answer to both.
Both. Okay, so what numbers are you looking at? First for the Big 10, since that's what we're looking at.
The Big 10 will get 8.
Okay.
The SEC could very well get 8. The Big 12 can get 8. The ACC will have at least 8. And depending upon if Clemson can win out, get a win over North Carolina at home, and your beloved Syracuse Orange.
Not going to happen, but go ahead.
If Clemson can do that, which is a tall task, but they will represent the 9th team for the ACC in the NCAA tournament this year.
We talked about a small bubble, a soft bubble, a tiny bubble. What's your take on this year's bubble that allows a team like Oklahoma? Clemson's another one. They haven't had a bad loss, but haven't had too many really good wins to still be hanging around to have that puncher's chance to get in.
Well, of course, it always depends upon who wins the smaller conferences.
Right.
And especially when you think about it. But one thing that you have to take into consideration this year when we talk about the power conferences, the Pac-12 may get 2 teams in. That's it. They'll get the automatic qualifier. Arizona State and Washington are the only 2 teams that really have a resume to get into the NCAA tournament if they don't win the tournament. So therefore, if one of those teams wins the tournament, you're probably looking at only 2 teams from the Pac-12, which allows the other 4 power conferences to be able to get so many members. And the Big East, which is one of the power basketball conferences, doesn't have a strong a field this year either. So their numbers may be down a bit, which is why I think there'll be 32 of the 68 teams represented from those 4 conferences: ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and the SEC.
And a team like Wofford could be a bid stealer. A team like Belmont could be a bid stealer. You just never know how it's going to shake out. That's why it's so fascinating over the next 3 weeks. Fields blocks the shot from behind. 4:18 remaining here at McDougald-McClendon Arena.
And we've seen Larry McKnight knock down the threes, and this time using that strong upper body. He lost a lot of weight, but he didn't lose any strength at all. The ability to post up around the basket and finish against much smaller guards.
And speaking of Wofford, he spent his freshman year with the Terriers, never did play in a game for Wofford. Blocking foul with 2 on the shot clock. And we've got free throws upcoming. Randy Miller Jr., who's had a real nice game for this NC Central team that was picked 2nd in the preseason coaches poll. Bethune-Cookman was actually the #1 pick. They're kind of middle of the road this year, but again, they'll have their opportunity coming up at the Scope. Hey, you win 3 games in a row, you win 4 games in a row, depending on whether you've got a bye or not. You can be dancing, and you can be that team going to Dayton to represent the MEAC.
And we've seen surprises before. And right now you see Norfolk State, and of course Norfolk State right at home, not playing in their home arena, but playing at the Scope where they played for so many years. So, you know, the opportunity for them to be able to have a great following, and with a very good team this year, a chance for them to get into the MEAC and again, get into the NCAA tournament where they haven't been for a while. And Norfolk State was one of the teams that before this dominance between Hampton and North Carolina Central did represent the MEAC in the NCAA tournament. I can remember, I believe it had to be before 2014, but Kyle O'Quinn and his group from Norfolk State going in and getting a huge win in the NCAA tournament. So it's not a team that's a stranger, or a program that's a stranger to the NCAA tournament.
Pretty impressive steal and slam for Larry McKnight Jr. Young man from North Miami, Florida, throwing it down. It's a 16-point lead for NC Central. We should also point out that Florida A&M is ineligible to compete in this year's postseason because of its APR. Final media timeout, and we'll step away with the Eagles soaring up 16. Postseason because of its APR. Final media timeout, and we'll step away with the Eagles soaring up 16. Conference tournament.
And the only remaining game they have after this one is a showdown with North Carolina A&T, who, if they win one more game, and A&T still has 3 games remaining, they win one more of those games, they have the edge over Central and most likely will get to the #2 seed, but still going to be a very interesting matchup on March 7th when these 2 teams get together.
As we look at the stat sheets that we get during every timeout, it's really been a fairly even game in a lot of ways, except for NC Central's 3-point shooting.
11 for 20, quick math, 55% for the Eagles. And Lavelle Moulton talked to us about that before the game. With them, if they're making shots, they are extremely difficult to beat. They're a team that's going to defend. They're going to play the right way. But, of course, coaching can't make you make shots. He can only put you in the right position. You've got to finish it.
Blunt with the layup. Yeah, Moulton was one of the best 3-point shooters in this program's history for his 4 years. he shot at a 40% clip. It's a nice stroke for Kynard. He's now got 13 points to lead South Carolina State.
And we've seen him show off his three-point shooting ability, and now you see another steal, an opportunity, a 5-0 run that quick for the Bulldogs. And this is an area of concern, and this is where not having that true you can count on point guard comes into play, especially at the end of the games when opposing teams are pressing you. You got to have that one guy you can put the basketball in his hands. And right now, Coach Moten trusting Jordan Perkins to be that guy. He has to make sure that he takes care of his team and they finish with the win.
Well, he gets the pass back and lays it in. What a look from Miller as the defense fell asleep.
And Coach Moten calling the timeout after the beautiful feed in the score, but not happy with the way his team has handled the pressure over the last couple possessions. And you see the trap on Miller in the corner, and that pass just has too much air underneath it, allowing for the steal and the layup, but then a beautiful feed from Randy Miller to Jordan Perkins under the basket and the layup to extend the lead for the Eagles.
As we've talked about, Corey, Jordan Perkins isn't a big scorer. He's only got 3 points tonight. That's just about his season average. But he takes care of the basketball. His 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio is second best in the conference. So I understand why Coach Moten would say to his third-team all-conference point guard who started this game, hey, let's get us to the finish line here.
Well, yeah, and I agree with that. He's your starter and he's your finisher right now. Now, this is a role that's new for him this year because he started as a freshman last year but often didn't finish games. So he's taking over more of that leadership role, but he has 2 very good point guards behind him putting that pressure on every day to where if he doesn't perform, Coach Moten does have other guys to go to. But I like the way Jordan Perkins has performed this season. And I can appreciate the fact that Coach Moten is going with his sophomore to finish off the game.
Damani White now within 19 points of 1,000 for his career. His second dunk gives him 10 points in this one.
Close to a 10-second violation on that one. Shot clock hit 20 right as Randy Miller was catching the basketball in the front court.
Shot clock at 5. Miller lost it. South Carolina State still fighting with 1:40 to go. Kynard, no. Bulldogs keep. Applewhite to the rim again. Can't get the roll. Blunt fights for it. Here comes McKnight again.
And Doug, you look back, that last possession with a 3, it would have been an 8-point game. Even with the 2, you got a 9-point game, but in single digits. And the Bulldogs just unable to take advantage of those opportunities.
Harewood, no. Jordan Perkins got a piece and will pick up the foul.
You see Applewhite getting inside and the beautiful finish around the rim. But then the defensive balance not intact, allowing Larry McKnight to get back behind the defense. And the highlight finish for McKnight, who's played a very efficient game tonight.
As we talked about, McKnight is a whole different person this year physically. 37 pounds dropped in the offseason. Able to play long minutes for Coach Moten, and he has been very effective in the second half. Here tonight, now with 13 points. He averages just about 10 per game. Got some blood on the back side of the jersey of Ian Kynard. And so that's been treated. He will stay in the ball game. And Kynard back to the line. He's part of a 4-man junior class for South Carolina State that calls itself 2020. He and Applewhite, Fields, and Bottenberg, they are the class of 2020, so they call themselves 2020. Did you give yourself a nickname back at UVA?
I gave myself a nickname when I was about 5, and it just kind of stuck with me. No one else calls me that, but as long as I can call myself that, I'm good.
I'm almost afraid to ask.
Don't ask. Don't ask.
Apparently the truck is asking, so they have superseded my ability to either ask or not.
Well,
you have to give the answer.
One of the world's greatest leaders happens to share a name
Does it have to do with your email address?
It would be similar to my email address.
That would be Alexander the Great.
I mean, again, if the good Lord wouldn't have named me Alexander if he didn't want me to use it. I'm just saying that has to be the case, right?
And you came to that at the age of 5.
Oh, yeah. I was well above my years. I was early.
Wow. That explains a lot.
More of a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know.
Prophecy?
That's what I said.
Timeout after the baseline jumper by Allen Hatchett Jr. Well, down 10. The Bulldogs with another coaching moment. Can't really figure that they're going to pull this one out, but they have hung around. But I've been surprised that the Eagles have been so effective at keeping this lead at double figures really since late in the first half.
Well, we saw the Bulldogs with the opportunities really to get it to a single-digit game, and they were just unable to come up with a make and a finish to put that pressure on the Eagles. But a great job by the Eagles, really just stemming the tide here coming down the end of the game.
Sports Center tonight after Kansas State, Kansas. We'll have Kenny Mayne and Steve Levy. Michael Wilbon compares James Harden's scoring streak to that of Wilt Chamberlain's. Plus the impact tonight's games we'll have on the Big 12's bubble teams and the latest on the Bryce Harper negotiations. Sports Center 11 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
This is crazy. Now I'm hearing that Bryce Harper now may take a short-term deal, maybe 1 or 2 year deal with the Dodgers. But at some point, don't we have to get Bryce Harper into training camp? I mean, you know, spring training is here.
Games are being played. Well, you know, last year Jake Arrieta didn't get signed by the Phillies until well into March. It could still be another couple of weeks. You know, spring training's different than it used to be in that the guys show up in shape. I mean, it's not like Bryce Harper's not working out. So I don't know as it'll impact him whenever he gets to whatever team. But you're right, the surprise would be if he takes a short-term deal with the Dodgers. He's a Vegas kid, and the idea is he wants to be on the West Coast, so maybe he would bet on himself to have a couple of monster years and go back into free agency. But anyhow, they will break all of that down coming up on Sports Center later tonight. Corey and I are just a couple of college basketball fools talking baseball.
But both of us do love baseball.
Sure do. Shot clock off. Looks like the Bulldogs are going to just let them dribble it out.
And South Carolina State will leave with a split. My girl Audra Oliver and the women's basketball team walking away with a win. The men's team will not. So a split for the Bulldogs here on the trip to Central.
Led by the ever-efficient Rashawn Davis inside and the three-point shooting outside. LaBelle Moton's North Carolina Central Eagles run the record to 15 and 14 overall. They've now won 5 of their last 6. 10 and 5 in the MEAC. Impressive 72-62 winners. We'll take a break. Come back and have a conversation with Coach Moton right after this. Come back and have a conversation with Coach Moton right after this. (72-62) our final score as North Carolina Central protects its home floor on its final home game of the year. And we're pleased to be joined by the winning head coach, LaVelle Moton. You told us earlier today your team is Jekyll and Hyde shooting the basketball. Yeah. I think we know what we saw tonight.
Yeah, we shot it pretty well tonight, man. I always think that in order to shoot the basketball well, you got to pass it well. And, you know, we were hitting guys on time, on target. We stepped up with 10 toes to the rim, and we shot it with some confidence. So I was extremely proud of the guys.
You talked about passing it well. Your team actually had 20 assists on 27 made field goals. Do you have like a benchmark as what you like to use to see when they're sharing the basketball well?
It's not necessarily the assists I look at. It's the turnovers, because we've been throwing the basketball everywhere to every team except for ours. So I can always tell when we're sharing the basketball pretty well because we're shooting it well. I never really look at assists. You can just kind of feel that just being a former player yourself. and they get excited about playing with each other once we get to that point.
Corey and I talked during the broadcast about the pros and cons of having the 3 different point guards. You got all of them extended minutes tonight.
Yeah, we got to go with the 3-head monster, man. You know, all of those guys are capable. Some of them have better nights than others at times. So we try to ride with the hot hand, and Perkins started us off, but then when Ju came in, he hit a couple of threes because they were sagging off Sean. So that's what he does. He steps up and knocks it down with 10 toes to the rim.
Well, great performance by your team tonight, but even more impressive is this jacket. So now what I was trying to explain to Doug is there's a difference between being sharp and what we like to refer to as sharp.
It's definitely a difference.
Okay, so
it's no R.
See, Doug, that's what I'm talking about.
It's no R.
I couldn't explain it that
When you're really doing it, it's no R. It's just sharp. S-H-A-P.
Well, what do you think about you versus Coach Williams?
That's my guy, man. I love Coach, man, but, you know, look, he can't touch me with this.
So he's sharp.
Yeah, he's sharp.
And you are?
Sharp.
That's my man.
So it's all good, man. It's definitely all good. I appreciate it.
Well, you've been sharp around here for a lot of years. This program means so much to you, and we've got some video we want you to see and tell us about. Back in the day.
It's 1940. Oh,
number 15 doing his thing.
Hey, man, look. That was my freshman year. I was 105 pounds. You know, right? Yeah, soaking wet. And I think this was my sophomore year, and that's against Ben Wallace in the CIAA tournament. So it's good, those memories, man.
A basketball player never forgets. He probably knows how many points he had in that game.
Yeah. 31 to be exact.
There you go.
31 to be exact.
And that's a pretty good night against a very good Virginia Union team, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll just finish up with this. This was an important win as you guys continue to try and get ready for the postseason.
Yeah, man. You know, the thing is, with our league, it's no secret. No one cares about your body of work during the year. It's those 4 days in March, and you want to be playing great basketball and have some good momentum going into that tournament. And we seem to be playing well right now, so I hope we can continue.
All right, well, congratulations on the win. We appreciate you stopping by. And, Corey, we'll see you in Norfolk.
I will see you in Norfolk.
That's my man.
To see if you can defend your last 2 championships successfully.
I can't wait to see what you got on in Norfolk. I know you're going to hurt them up there.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming down, man.
All right, he's Coach Moten. His Eagles win by double figures tonight, taking down South Carolina State on Big Monday. Thanks so much for joining us. That'll do it for Corey Alexander and our entire crew. Good night from Durham, North Carolina.